There are moments when it seems as though the entire universe holds its breath, pausing for a lone soul to find a glimmer of light amidst the overwhelming darkness. They say the greatest faith does not bloom in times of ease, but rather springs forth in the deepest adversity, like a torch lit against a raging storm. Greetings, dear friends. Today, I invite you to embark with me on a remarkable journey of faith, not a tale of imagination, but a true story recorded in the year 1949, during the darkest days of China's Northeastern Civil War. This story has been passed down by survivors, a silent anthem of unwavering faith centered around a young woman, Taihua. Merely 19 years old at the time, an ordinary girl among countless others. Yet within her heart blazed a light that even the thickest darkness could not extinguish. Today, I will guide you from the frozen landscape of the northern winter, deep into her yearning soul, then widen the lens to her community, and ultimately reflect it back into your own life. That January, the snow fell thicker than any year before. The sky was a sullen gray, and the wind sliced through the dilapidated roofs, slipping into every crack of the impoverished village of Qingjian. The villagers, dressed in torn, threadbare garments, hunched against the wind that cut like blades. Taihua lived with her elderly mother in a humble hut made of mud and straw, perched at the edge of the village near a wild forest. Her father had long perished during a brutal purge, leaving the two to survive by mending shoes and weaving baskets. One day, soldiers stormed into the village, searching every home, demanding the people renounce their Christian faith. Those who refused were dragged into the town square, beaten, and sentenced to forced labor. That grim afternoon, amidst the shouting and terror, something small slipped from Taihua's worn coat, a tiny, cloth-wrapped Bible, so old its pages had turned yellow. A soldier roared, "Who gave you permission to keep this?" Her mother trembled, but Taihua said nothing, only clutching the book tightly to her chest. "It is my light," she whispered, knowing well that the price for such defiance could be her very life. The fragile fire of hope was lit from that Bible, a tiny but indomitable seed. That night, Taihua was thrown into a freezing, dilapidated barn, with no blanket, only a cold, dirt floor, and the stench of mildew thick in the air. She huddled, holding the book close as if cradling her own soul. Inside, a fierce battle raged. Was it worth dying for her faith? What would happen to her fragile mother if she perished? Yet amidst the darkness, she seemed to hear a gentle whisper, "Take heart. I have overcome the world." The words of Jesus from John chapter 16 verse 33 echoed in her mind, like warm water flowing through frozen veins. Fear still lingered, but now, faith began to illuminate it from within. The next morning, she was dragged into the village square, where the villagers were forced to watch. The commander barked, "All you must do is step over this Bible, and you will be free." A soldier flung the Bible onto the ground, trampling it under his muddy boots. Taihua stood barefoot on the icy earth, her heart breaking into shards. The moment stretched into eternity. In that suspended instant, she caught her mother's gaze. There was no anger, no despair, only a flood of tears and pride. And Taihua understood. Faith was not only for oneself but also for those we love. Without stepping forward, she knelt down beside the trampled Bible, shielding it with her body, as if protecting a fragile flame from a howling storm. A fury erupted. She was seized and mercilessly beaten. Yet something miraculous happened. Amid the silent onlookers, hearts began to stir. An old man with a white beard, once the village elder, stepped forward and knelt before the Bible. Then another, and another, until dozens, then hundreds, followed. The violence faltered. Confused, no one dared strike again. What began as a solitary flicker had now erupted into an unstoppable wildfire. Li Taihua, though her body bore scars for life, had planted a seed of courage deep within her community. Months later, when the soldiers withdrew amid broader upheavals of the war, the villagers of Qingjian secretly built a small underground church. Li Taihua, despite her wounds, became a shepherd of faith for generations to come. This story teaches us that faith is not a coat we put on when convenient and discard when it becomes a burden. It is our very breath, our very life. As the great writer Dostoevsky once said, "He who finds faith finds himself." Likewise, an ancient Eastern proverb reminds us, when the heart carries light, even the abyss reveals the sky. The Buddha, too, once taught, only in the darkest of nights does the light of awakening shine brightest. So today, what can you and I do to nourish such faith and courage? First, let us cultivate the habit of spending a quiet moment each day, reading a verse from the Bible, sowing seeds of light into our hearts. Second, whenever faced with the choice between the easy path and our conscience, let us whisper, "I choose the light." Third, never hesitate to make a small stand for truth, a word, a defense of what is right, even in everyday conversations. If today's story has touched your heart, please click like, subscribe, share, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss more miraculous stories. In our next video, we will discover another inspiring life, an orphan boy who changed an entire city with nothing but a loaf of bread and a prayer. Let us walk and grow together on this spiritual journey. Thank you sincerely for listening. May deep peace, overflowing joy, and the unquenchable flame of faith always be with you throughout your life.